Mark, good to have you back in the Trump 100 studio. It's been, 5 weeks?
It's been a long time. 5 weeks. A holiday which took a detour with the death of my father. But Thank you, James, to you and the others for your kind words. Very kind.
Yeah, we were very sorry to hear it. Your dad, General Tony Stone, big listener to the podcast, of course.
He was. Tony to some, Anthony to others. Dad to me, but it's good to be back, and it looks to me as though not much has changed. We're still talking about trade wars, we're still talking about real wars, Iran, and it seems, James, people are still taking the piss out of the fact that you've got no hair.
Yeah, the baldy gags thick and fast, because I interviewed Gianni Infantino at the weekend, we will revisit this, but let me give you a teaser. It went viral, so did the comments, one of which is, a bald guy mocking another bald guy for being bald is another level of ego, delusion, and denial. Wow. Much more of that to come.
I'm Mark Stone in the Trump 100 studio in Washington.
And I'm James Matthews. Today was billed as Economic D-Day. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, he gave it the full "we'll fight them on the beaches." Not sure it quite landed, though. We'll discuss.
No, it didn't. And the Trump versus Carney fight is back on. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney pulled the plug on trade talks at the weekend. It's the neighbourhood spat that is spiralling once more.
And that man, Infantino, all jokes aside, there is the serious matter of the future of football. We will ask, what lies beyond the baldy gags?
That really was very good, James. And we'll get into all of that. It was a number of people over the weekend were commenting on you versus Gianni. Well done with that. But let's talk about Canada first, because another economic war brewing with America and its closest neighbour and biggest trading partner. It's been rumbling, hasn't it, since the start of this second Trump term?
Yeah, Donald Trump's been gunning for Canada, as well as us, of course, since he started his second term. Just when it all appeared to be settling down with the neighbour next door, the fight is back on. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney telling President Trump over the weekend to run along. They were having trade talks, seemingly were going well, until they weren't.
Yeah, Trump says that from the start of next year, he will slap a 50% increase on tariff imports of cars, trucks and car parts from Canada.
Yeah, Carney wasn't holding back when he addressed Canadians on Saturday morning.
You're at war when you get attacked. We got attacked. U.S. put 50%. We waited until the United States decided to actually implement these so-called 338 tariffs. That's fine. We've got the reserves. We've got the resilience. We've got the plan. We've got the focus. We will respond. We're going to focus on what we can control. We're going to build.
Yeah, the Prime Minister said that he would match Trump's tariffs dollar for dollar from the 8th of September, including levies on steel, dairy, appliances and electronics.
Yeah, it's a gear change from Friday afternoon when we heard from President Trump. At that point, he spoke of talks going well.
Yeah, we had a very good conversation with the Prime Minister last night, and we've come to a deal with Canada. As you know, the 50% tariffs across the board were going on against Canada today, and they called yesterday and they gave us the points that we had to have. Very fair deal for both.
Yeah, Mark Carney, of course, he knows his numbers. He used to run the Bank of England before he moved back to Canada and worked his way right up to the top to become Prime Minister, particularly upset over the demands that America is making in this deal. One stumbling block seems to be a request for Canada to drop its requirement of American businesses writing manuals and labels in French for people buying items in Quebec. It seems he took that one particularly personally, choosing to do a press conference from Quebec over the course of Monday morning at a shipbuilder's yard. I doubt the location was a mistake, entirely intentional for sure. And an insight, too, into how flimsy the Canadians believe the Americans' word is on these deals.
We recognize that sometimes its signature was written in pencil.
It's pencil, not ink.
Relations, of course, between the US and Canada have been strained for a while. And in this latest episode, Donald Trump's been fielding his attack dogs, namely Vice President J.D. Vance.
Canada and China have been the two worst countries when it comes to trade policy anywhere in the world. What a shame that is. China, you of course expect. They're our biggest economic competitor. I would expect that from China. I would not expect that from Canada. We have to remember, Canada is a state. Sorry, Freudian slip.
Carney's approach, Mark, towards Donald Trump, it has always been robust. It's what got him elected, actually, as Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And it continues to boost him in the polls. Contrast that with the behaviour of other world leaders, that sliding scale of sycophancy. You know, Carney's a man who has taken Trump on, and this is the latest example of it. He's no mug, Carney, smooth operator. And of course, as you pointed out, entirely on top of the economics brief because of his background. He's calculating that standing up to Trump works for him politically. Time, I suppose, will tell on the wisdom economically, but he will see a vulnerability in Trump given the events that wrap up the US president right now.
The United States and Canada have a huge trading relationship and exporting tens of billions in agricultural products to one country and the other each year. And their motor industries are pretty interdependent. And right next to each other, Detroit and Windsor in Canada, right opposite each other. It's entirely interdependent and will be massively affected by all of this.
Yeah, that's right. And interestingly, you speak about Detroit, Michigan, Maine, of course, that shares a border with Canada, the state of Maine, where Susan Collins, Republican senator, is seeking re-election. That could be one of the contests that decides who controls the Senate. She is saying it's a mistake to impose tariffs on Canada, which that's an alarm bell within Trump's own party. If he's not hearing it, then you can bet that Carney is. It is a bitter fight, isn't it, Mark? That runs deeper than higher prices on goods for punters. Trump, he isn't just threatening Canada's economy, but has threatened its sovereignty, claiming it could be America's 51st state, talks about it like a territorial target. And Trump, he gave a speech in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and he said this: Canada's nasty. They're nasty. I love the people, but they're nasty, nasty leadership. Canadians, they loathe Donald Trump from the political level down to street level.
James, I know that face. You've got a story, I think.
Well, that face of panic, because it was journalistic panic, courtesy of Mark Carney, actually. We covered him when he was elected in Ottawa, did the big, victory address in this auditorium, speeches finished. They ended the night with this heavy metal band, really loud, and actually pretty obnoxious by the end of it. And we thought, let's get out of here. And of course, Carney had given a speech, and that was all fine. But this was a man who was trying to match Donald Trump pound for pound, blow for blow.
Yeah.
And of course, Trump was all about the dancing, the YMCA and the showbiz and all that. And actually, I did have a passing thought. I wonder if Carney's a disco dancer. That's the shot we wouldn't like to miss. And of course, we left this place. There was music playing. Got back to the hotel thinking the job was done. And checked social media. There on social media was a picture of Carney at this event. I mean, he must have been about 20 yards from me doing the full disco dance, real dad dancing, which of course was a defining shot, a defining picture of that night, probably his whole political career, certainly of his contest with Donald Trump. And, well, we missed it. But of course, in the old days, that would have been a bad thing, because if you don't film it, you don't have it. These days, politicians, they have their own personal TV crews following them around. So we got Carney Cam. The man himself bailed us out.
James, I'm not sure I can imagine the next person we're going to talk about doing any disco dancing. Scott Bessent.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
He doesn't strike me as much of a dancer. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary for Donald Trump. He was at the podium today, wasn't he, for a news conference. An event billed economic D-Day for Iran.
Yeah, 6 months on since this military action against Iran was launched by the US and Israel. That rumbles on, of course. It's the latest attempt to bring about a resolution. Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, he was launching what they are calling actually Operation Economic Outcast, because everything has to be an operation and be called something these days. I'm not sure, Mark. I mean, you say that Bessent's no disco dancer. I'm not sure he was the man for this occasion. He is no ninja warrior, more a kind of Buzz Lightyear with the batteries running out, if you ask me. But his big set-piece speech, it was trailed as outlining the single greatest financial offensive ever.
Perhaps D-Day stands for dull or dud. There really wasn't much in the speech, was there?
No, not for me. The US already sanctions Iran up to the eyeballs. This, on the face of it, is what's a threat to other countries or entities who do business with Tehran to stop it. It's the policy now. The only realistic option I think the States has got left, short of increasing military action, probably to some kind of ground invasion, which is not a practical option.
So it's all about secondary sanctions.
Yeah, exactly. Putting a slow economic squeeze on the Iranians. But, they will face resistance. A lot of people are making a lot of money doing business with Tehran, a lot of Americans among them. And the question that we still don't have an answer to is what will be the consequences for continuing, for flouting that instruction from Scott Bessent. He wasn't fleshing that out in his speech. Unless and until the US does, why shouldn't the people being warned see this as just more big talk from the Trump administration signifying nothing? Another operation that's all presentation and nothing else, all fur coat and no knickers.
It's good to be back. I'm doing a lot of laughing today, which is good. Yeah, no. Look, I was struck at how little was in that speech. I was expecting maybe a little bit more detail on what these secondary sanctions might actually look like, which countries, which companies could be targeted. And as one reporter sort of correctly asked, D-Day, there was no signposting the real D-Day, was there? It just happened, and it was hard for Germany. This time, he is sort of signposting, we might do this, we might do that. And he was asked, well, why signpost? Why not just do it? And his answer was interesting.
We are giving everyone the opportunity to remedy bad behavior. Why would I want to blow up the global financial system?
James, maybe that answers the question you just raised. What will be the consequences? The consequences could well be really bad economic situation for a lot of countries. I think for me, the key here is China, isn't it? Because alongside, I think, the United Arab Emirates and Turkey, China is Iran's biggest trading partner. And so if the Americans are serious about this, then they're going to have to apply this punishment, whatever it is, to the Chinese. And I think that will be the test. Are they willing? Are they able? Have they got the balls to do that?
I think you're right. Not just China, of course, Russia. And it is absolutely a test of Donald Trump himself. It's one thing putting Scott Bessent on a stage, being vague. And actually, he was asked, who have you spoken to? What world leaders have been spoken to? And he didn't give details. He didn't name one, nor did he give a timetable for any of this.
We want to make clear here today that no one is above the reach of U.S. sanctions. That if they facilitate transactions and are part of the ecosystem that turns Iranian oil into money, into repression, they will be targeted.
So once again, we have this vague notion that something bad is going to happen if people doing business with Iran don't toe the line. But there's a lot of what we heard that sounds very much like an empty threat.
Yeah, I mean, on China, it's worth remembering that, as you said at the beginning, James, the Iranians have been sanctioned over and over again for a very long time, and they've managed always to evade those sanctions. And one reason for that is China. China has for a long time now given Iran the trading space and the vast market, of course, to undermine the effectiveness of these Western sanctions. And so, as I say, if Bessent is serious, if he is Buzz Lightyear with the batteries charged up, then Beijing needs to be the target. And that's going to be pretty tricky. And Xi Jinping and Donald Trump are due to meet here in Washington next month.
Yeah, the Iranians, they're not impressed. Mohsen Rezai, the new secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, he is warning that any country backing the new US economic measures will be considered enemies of Tehran, he says. And he added, if the economic war continues, not a single drop of oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf.
James, I was thinking over the course of the past couple of weeks or so, as I was not really focused directly on the news, but obviously it was in the background, and Iran was always there. That there's kind of a tendency, I think, for some simplistic kind of lazy analysis. The takeaway being that just because the Trump administration has truly flunked their adventure in Iran with massive strategic failure, that somehow this means that the Iranians are entirely comfortable, are in a good place as a result of Trump's war there. Well, that's clearly not true. The Iranians are under immense economic pressure and they militarily are hit very hard. And yet they are still able to stay in the fight. And that's the thing. They're largely able to do that because of the thing you just mentioned, the Strait of Hormuz. But some of the big headline fears have not come to pass, have they? Airlines haven't run out of fuel. Remember all that over the course of the summer, where our holidays were going to be upended because there wouldn't be any aviation fuel? None of that's happened. The world economy hasn't ground to a halt, and that's because companies and countries have adapted. They've shifted their supply chains. They're trying to open up new ones. It's taking time, but the leverage that Iran holds over the Strait of Hormuz is diminishing. So while it is true that Donald Trump's actions in Iran have been really quite catastrophic for America, it is also the case that Iran can enjoy this leverage over the Strait of Hormuz and over the oil market for a limited period, I think.
Yeah, you're right, Mark, but long enough to skewer Donald Trump when he needs a solution quickly prior to the midterms, at a time when his ratings are underwater, prices are sky high. He needs a result quicker than it appears to be coming. So all the big players involved, obviously, Mark. China, we mentioned. I should mention that we had a Sky News Insider episode. We had our Beijing correspondent, Helen Ann Smith. She was back on the podcast, Mark, gave us a very good insight into all things China and the United States. That came out over the weekend. Do look for details in the episode description on how to become a Trump 100 insider.
Now then, James, you went all the way to the Caribbean at the weekend, didn't you?
Is this where the Baldy gangs come in?
Yes, you went all the way to the Caribbean to get insulted.
Yeah, we did. Dominican Republic, no less, flew in. Gianni Infantino, president of FIFA, controversial president. He was in town, flying in on his private jet. Now, this is a man, Mark, with, as we know, with serious questions to answer. We happen to have some good intel on when he was coming in, where he was coming in, and wouldn't you know it, he walked out the door and I shook his hand and said, James Matthew, Sky News, and asked him some pertinent questions.
Have you betrayed the game of football? Have you betrayed the game of football, sir?
You have a nice haircut.
Why won't you resign?
Thank you so much.
Why won't you resign?
Thank you so much.
Fans, FIFA associations want you to step down. Why won't you?
Sorry.
Have you betrayed the trust of FIFA, sir?
See you at the hairdresser.
See you at the hairdressers. That was quite funny.
Yeah, okay, that was pretty good. But as somebody commented, and listen, there were many comments.
Oh, they were. We'll read a few out in a minute. Stay tuned.
You're talking about two baldies. They don't go to hairdressers. But the thing is, Mark, these questions are serious questions, and they pertain to the future of the beautiful game. Gianni Infantino, the criticism of him is that he cooked up this scheme. The football world didn't like it in large part, but he did it in secret. So there's much that's been discussed about football behind closed doors. That was an opportunity for him to answer questions publicly, to address football fans, I think. He's a man who dodges media appearances. All we see are these kind of in-house FIFA videos where he's making pronouncements. He doesn't take questions on what football fans and football bodies around the world want to interrogate him on. You know, his plan, his vision for the future of the game. And this is a man who wants to be president for a fourth term come next year.
Now, James, there will be lots of listeners and viewers wondering whether you literally were sent to the Dominican Republic to doorstep one man.
He was the main man.
It's a good gig, right?
Listen, it's hard work, as you well know.
Actually, I did the same thing a few years ago to try and find Boris Johnson in the very same place.
And you tracked him down?
But we had to get on a flight to Gatwick before we did.
Tell me about it.
That was it. We knew he was there. He managed to give us the slip at the airport. And then the editors in London said, get on the plane as well. And
Yeah,
so
and
we
he
did.
And he was at the back of the plane, right?
We assumed he was going to be in business class, and so we were. And he wasn't. He was right at the back of the plane. So I had a comfortable journey home, slightly less comfortable. But we got what we went for. So there we go.
Yeah, good stuff. Did you get ripped on social media?
Not like you did.
Shall we read some of these out?
I think we should.
The lack of hair felt like watching an episode of Breaking Bad.
Which one is Infantino?
Just two bald men having a chat. His response to serious questions is body shaming.
Yeah. Right, said Fred, are looking good.
Yeah, very good.
There's some praise for you, though, here, James. Well done, James, for asking serious questions, which we all feel the same about, as he tries to demean you, tells you all I need to know about that idiot Gianni.
Well, bless you, whoever sent that one in. And let's do the last one. He took the piss out of the reporter, just like he's been taking the piss out of football for far too long. So there you go, big laugh. But that one, that interview, Mark, I have to tell you, it's the most viral I've ever done. More than 5 million on somewhere, TikTok or whatever it was, Instagram. So, there's a lot of interest in him and in where he is taking the game. While I was in the Dominican Republic, I also actually bumped into Victor Montagliani. He's the Canadian president of CONCACAF.
How's his hair?
Sparse. So, I don't know. It's a football thing. But, he, interestingly, and listen, we've been in this game for a long time, and it's interesting the way these things play out. It's all politics. And Infantino, he was full of smiles and everything's okay, I'm the man. That was that's how he presented himself. Interestingly, Victor Montagliani, we had no trouble finding him. Now, maybe I'm being too cynical. And listen, he was great, welcoming, friendly exchange, he and his team. So that was all good, and we're grateful for his time accommodating us. But you've got the situation where they know there's an international TV crew in town. And essentially, he kind of walked in front of us. It was easy to have a chat with him. And that is a PR strategy. Whether they were deploying it or not, just to, at this time, when he wants to position himself potentially as the next president of FIFA, it makes sense to be in front of the TV camera, to be, avoiding the relevant questions, but just to be there, to be present, to be in people's minds at a time when people are thinking about the future, people are thinking about the politics of football. So, yeah, action-packed weekend.
Well done, well done.
So, Mark, back after 5 weeks, back in harness. Good to be here.
Yeah, it is, especially with your gags
No.
making me smile. Yeah, it's been a tough few weeks. I'm not going to lie about that for me and my mum and my brother.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it? The death of a parent, of a father. We all know it will come, and yet we know it's inevitable. But you can never really prepare for it. It feels to me like a sort of a tether severed, an anchor point has kind of gone for me. My dad and I, we were very close, and it's been tricky. The other thing that's occurred to me quite a lot over the past few weeks is that, I mean, like you, James, in our jobs, we spend a lot of our time telling the stories of other people who are grieving. For me, through wars that I've covered in the Middle East, natural disasters around the world, I've met a lot of people who are in that grieving moment. And I kind of have always felt that I've got a huge amount of empathy, and I'm able to empathise with them. But you can never truly empathise and I've been really lucky in my life that I've never experienced grief in my immediate family until now. And it's potent, it's powerful, it's painful. It comes in waves. A colleague of ours, who you all know, Mike Kumar, a producer at Sky, who lost both his parents recently, he said to me, that it's like an anecdote, where a sort of a metaphor that I think lots of people will be familiar with. He said grief is like a backpack. You always carry it. Sometimes it's really heavy, and sometimes it's you almost forget that it's there. And I thought that was a very good way of saying it. But James, I have to say that there's been a lot of reassurance over the past few weeks as well. The strength in friendships. the power of community as well. My mum lives in a town which just has this real magic community power, and that's a good thing for sure. I've had conversations with friends and family who I haven't spoken to for a long time, so that's been nice. And a reassurance in the system as well. The coroner who we had to deal with made my family feel like we were literally the only people in her world. That was really nice. The funeral director, same thing. Such amazing compassion. The administration of shutting down bank accounts, shutting down mobile phone accounts and all that sort of stuff. Everyone I spoke to was so helpful, could not have been more supportive, and that was reassuring.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Our thoughts are with you and your family. Good to have you back, my friend.
It's good to be back.
Thank you for listening and for watching. Do get in touch at the usual place, drop 100 at sky.uk. We'll see you later in the week.
Bye bye.
All the best.